Trick tip, backside Smith grinds. Probably one of the most elusive grind tricks for me on transition, and definitely one of the sickest grind tricks, I think, for sure. Took me a long time to learn, but I'm hoping that with the tips that I can give you, you'll learn it faster if you don't already have them. And if you do have them, maybe this will help you get them a little better. It's always been hard for me to hold them long. So I'm going to go over some things that will help with that too. And yeah, we'll start off talking about how to do a proper backside Smith stall, and then we'll talk about foot position and, more importantly, body position, as this trick relies a lot on proper body position to grind it, hold the grind long and well. So yeah, I hope that these tips will help you out, and yeah, let's get it. So, to get into the backside Smith, what you're going to do, we saw the backside Smith stall already. Getting into the backside Smith grind is very similar. You just kind of take more of an angle, and when you come up, you just lift up your front wheels, push it down in that tail a little bit, and right when you feel your wheel go over the coping, you're just going to ride onto the coping, push your front leg into the ramp and down, and put all your weight into that back foot, specifically pushing into the back toe, so you're getting that pinch right over the toe wheel. All your weight is over that toe wheel where the truck, that's right where the truck is grinding the coping. And that's what's going to lock you into that grind and help you grind. Pushing that front leg out is going to push your, obviously dip down the front truck, and also kind of angle your truck away from the ramp so it doesn't catch right here. Too mellow of a ramp, it'll catch, so you want to make sure you're learning this on a ramp that's not too mellow. Anything 8, radius of 8 or something is probably not going to be steep enough for you to get a good Smith. But you'll be able to tell. You can still learn the motion and the stall. So all the weight is focused on this back foot, particularly the toe side of it. So you're pushing into the toe wheel right there, and it's that's why you see like Bob Burnquist and some other people do backside Smith grinds, and they can do it one-footed. They pick up their one foot while they're grinding. That just goes to show how much weight is put into the back foot on this trick. Pretty much all of your weight. And next we're going to talk about the body position that is also equally important in this trick in making you be able to grind forward. Pretty much what I did not know how to do for the longest time, and why I got up in it and just kind of stopped, because I didn't understand that I had to keep my chest towards perpendicular, my shoulders perpendicular to the coping. I had to be essentially looking with my head and my upper body turned directly at the coping. That's what helped propel me forward. Because as soon as this front arm, as soon as it turns parallel with the coping, you're going to go in. You're going to just ride into the ramp. So in order to hold the grind for any length of time, you really have to keep your front shoulder, your leading arm, you have to keep it back so that my front of my body is twisted. My back foot and my front foot, or my lower body essentially, is right parallel with the coping. but my upper body is perpendicular to it. So basically, just when you come up, think of opening up your chest and looking. It also helps because if you do that, you are able to look right where you're going and right at what your feet are doing. So chest open, shoulders perpendicular. Another thing someone taught me, and it helps too, is to keep the trailing arm, your back arm, keep it forward. As soon as that trailing arm goes back, usually your front arm goes forward and your upper body rotates, and as soon as that rotation happens, you just go into the ramp and you stop grinding. So, facing forward, perpendicular upper body to the coping, keeping that trailing arm forward, and keeping your shoulders open. That is the key to holding the Smith grind, locking into it, and taking it further. And then once you're ready, generally, you're going to start to come in. It's hard to hold it, for me anyway. It's hard to hold it a long time. So even when you're really trying hard to do that, it's still going to eventually start to go in. And the come in part is pretty easy, I find. I find it's a little bit easier than a front Smith. Basically, once you feel like you're stopping grinding forward and you're starting to turn, you just push gently on the back foot, lift that tail up, lift that front foot up, and kind of do a little hop in, just a little, it's not even an ollie, it's just a little hop in, and that's it. So the hang up factor on this one I find is a lot less than for a front side Smith for some reason, at least for me. But it's a very simple, subtle movement to hop in, and you'll kind of feel it. It'll just kind of take you in. I find the hard part is grinding for a long period of time before that happens. Alright, so the other thing I want to talk about on the backside Smith grind, we've talked about feet position, we've talked about body position. There's one more thing that I find that a lot of people do. You can see in pictures or in videos when people are backside Smith grinding, many times when they're doing it well, their back foot, you can see the heel of their shoe. They're bending their foot, thereby putting more pressure into the forefoot, the toes of the back foot, and that's helping apply more pressure to that back truck on the toe side of the board. Just locking into that wheel, locking that wheel right up against the coping so that you can hold that grind and you can make it grind. So, somebody told me that, you know, one of the ways they described it was to bow the foot, or bow the toe. And so basically what they're saying is that you're just you're like bending your foot, creating a bow motion. And that's why the heel's lifted, because you're really pressing into the forefoot of the back foot to push that grind. And you'll also find that, you know, when you do all of these motions I'm describing, you're pushing the board forward to grind, because you're trying to push it as you grind. And when you do that, you don't want to lean back with your upper body too much. So you want to kind of, in addition to turning your shoulders perpendicular to the coping, you want to lean at the waist where your center of gravity is. You want to lean forward to counterbalance that push that you're doing. So you're pushing with your feet, but you're leaning forward with your upper body to counterbalance so you don't just shoot out backwards. Backside Smith grinds, all in the back foot, back toes specifically, and all in the shoulders, turning those shoulders perpendicular to the coping, leaning back, like putting all your weight into the back seat, if you will, but leaning your upper body forward to counterbalance it, boning out that front leg to dip it down and to push it along. But keeping those shoulders turned, like I said, so that you don't turn into the ramp too soon. That way you get a long grind. I recommend learning the stall first until you get comfortable doing a stall and hopping out of it. and then I recommend doing a small carve next into the stall just to get a little bitty grind out of it, just to feel how it feels, and gradually get more speed and a bigger angle, a bigger carve into it, and just sit back in it and let it go. It feels awesome when you get it. Takes a while. Another recommendation that I highly encourage is just watching videos of different people doing it. Everybody does it a little bit different, you know, so the ways I tell you, it doesn't always, you know, completely work the same for everybody. So play around with different feet positions, play around with different ideas, but, you know, just kind of remember the main principles that I described. And another thing I do is I look at pictures of people doing a really good one, and just kind of, I just like study their body position. And I mean, literally, I'll look at it on my phone sometimes while I'm skating before I try the trick, and then I kind of like know in my mind what my body's supposed to do, and that visual image helps me actualize the position. So it's just another thing that I do, and maybe it'll help you as well. So anyway, hope you learn backside Smith grind soon. It's a super rad feeling trick, and trust me, I felt like I could never learn it ever, and I finally was able to learn it. So I know you can too. It just takes time, practice, and determination. All right, good luck, guys. Later.